Hi everyone, it's Annie, and today I have a very special video. I want to talk about my book. Yes, I am a published author, translator actually, and I published this book along with my professor, my advisor during university, when I was 22, a senior in college. And it is Japanese Stories for Language Learners from Tuttle Publishing. So, there are two folk tales, Yuki Onna, Snow Woman, and Urashima Taro, and there are three actual stories. The first one is Kumo no Ito, or The Spider's Thread, by Akutagawa Ryunosuke. And the second is Miyazawa Kenji's Ghost the Cellist. And the third is Obore Kaketa Kyodai, or The Siblings Who Almost Drowned, by Arishima Takeo. So, I want to talk about my experience working with Tuttle and translating all these stories, and just my experience of reading these classic Japanese tales and publishing this book. So, yes, my Japanese professor approached me wanting to publish this book. Tuttle has a series with many other Asian languages, stories for language learners, and I was so incredibly excited to be on this project. I could not believe, Tuttle is such a big name in language textbook and book publishing. It was just an amazing opportunity to be given. And I am eternally thankful to my professor, Professor Sato, for that. You should definitely check out her other books as well. So yeah, this book is a side-by-side, Japanese on one side, English on the other side, textbook. And it also has vocab lists that I compiled, and translator's notes, which were from me, and exercises. Grammar and reading comprehension exercises that my professor compiled. Okay, I'll give a little bit of a summary for each of these stories. The first one in this book is Urashima Taro, and it's about this man who finds this group of kids on a beach torturing a turtle. And he saves the turtle, and the turtle grants him the opportunity to come with him under the sea, and he meets a princess, and she gives him a mysterious box. I don't want to tell you any more than that. I mean, you can find it online if you want, but I really want you to read it because it's a really special story, and it's very, very famous here. The second one is The Snow Woman. It's kind of a weird, creepy story, not gonna lie. It was not my favorite to translate, especially because the ending was super weird in my opinion, and it just ended on a abrupt note. A lot of these stories do that. It's about this snow spirit and her dealings with a Japanese man who she marries, and he's not supposed to know that she is a spirit or a demon or something like that, but he finds out and things happen. Okay, so the first actual story is Spider's Thread, and this is my absolute favorite story in this book. It's really, really well written. It's about this man who is in hell for his crimes during life, and he is saved by Buddha, who sends a spider's thread down to hell for him to grab onto and pull himself out of. And it's a Buddhist story. It is beautiful. I'll tell you the ending, so spoilers ahead. So he grabs on to the thread and he's making his way up to heaven, but then all these other people who are stuck in hell try and grab on and follow him. And he's scared that the thread is going to break, so he starts kicking them off, and only then does the thread break because he was being selfish. So he loses his chance to escape. I think it's a beautiful story, and I loved translating it so much. The second one is The Siblings Who Almost Drowned. It is the longest, I believe, in this book, or maybe Ghost the Cellist is longer, but it's quite a long story. It was my least favorite to translate because it had a lot of difficult language. All of these stories are old. They had to be, because the authors had to be dead for over 70 years in order for the copyright to be free. So we didn't have to pay anyone or go through copyright laws that are too complicated. So they're old, so that made it harder to translate because some kanji and some expressions are just not used anymore in modern Japanese. This story is about these two siblings who go swimming even though their parents told them not to because the waves were too dangerous, and they end up almost drowning. Yeah, it's scary. I genuinely was disturbed while reading it. It's very well written. So yeah, I recommend checking it out in this lovely book. The last story is Ghost the Cellist by the famous Miyazawa Kenji. There's also an animated short of this, which maybe you've seen. It's about this cellist who is the worst cellist in his orchestra, and he's practicing all night to try and be better in time for the performance. And all these animals come to his house and ask him for favors, but really by doing them favors, they are helping him improve. And he ends up becoming a great cellist, and he gets a standing ovation at the end. It's a really, really odd story. It's very strange, but it's really charming, and yeah, I really liked translating it. It was really fun, and I definitely recommend reading it. So yeah, my experience with translating, it took a long time. I started in December and it was published in May? Yes, it was published in May of the next year. So it took quite a few months. And of course it wasn't just me. My professor was handling a lot of the red tape and dealing with the publication company and the editor. But it took a long time. I had to go through the stories, make sure I was understanding everything correctly, because obviously I'm not a native speaker, and at that time I was just a student. So my professor helped me after I got through the first drafts. She made sure everything was correct, and yeah, we just polished everything up, and then I went through, and in my translator's notes, which I think are a really interesting aspect of this book, I wrote down things that were hard to translate, or that things that didn't really accurately translate into English. And then the vocabulary sections are words that I didn't know and had to look up while translating. So yeah, this book I would recommend for intermediate, high intermediate, mid-intermediate Japanese learners and more advanced learners. But of course, even if you don't speak any Japanese, or if you don't want to learn Japanese at all, they're all in English, so you can read it. And these are all really special Japanese stories and give a good insight into Japanese culture. So I really recommend reading and hopefully buying this book to support me. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're interested in my book. So please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!